Hey guys, this is Matt, and right now I'm going to show you that other part of doing the tutorial that I was explaining earlier. So, let's say we have a background or a really cool, gratuitous, colorful image thing that you would say, hey, that's kind of cool in an insert. So, what we're going to do is just put this into a insert form. So, this is going to be covering just the going from stock to having a full insert in relatively quick amount of time. So first thing we're going to do is go to File, New. You can name it whatever you want. The size of a standard RSVP insert, or just any insert to start off with, is 9 centimeters by 3.8 centimeters. The reason I go 9 is so you have that little extra gap between the end of the insert and the threads. Because if you go 8.88 or any of the exact precision amounts, it will be, what's the word I'm searching for? It'll be very tough to put the insert in because you'll probably have to jam it in with, part of a ink tube, as I explained earlier. Height-wise, 3.8, that's pretty standard for the RSVP. That'll retain the thickness, so it's not just like this teeny paper-thin insert. If you go 3.9, that will be the size for a G3 insert, so you can adjust accordingly. Resolution is 300, which is standard print resolution. Actually, no, sorry, that's the upper print resolution. 72 is standard. I go 300 for inserts, so you get a nice, decent black. The rest of this, don't worry about it, just hit OK. So now we have our standard white image. So first thing we're going to do is make sure that we have rulers on the sides. If you haven't done this yet, go to Edit, Preferences, General, Units, and Rulers. Make sure this is in centimeters, otherwise you won't be able to adjust very well. Just hit OK. And then you would go to View. Oh, sorry, Window, excuse me. And, oh, come on, where's Rulers? Ah, there we go, it is View. Go under View and go over to Rulers, Control R. So now you have these up on each side. So now what we're going to do is double check the image size stuff. This is the kind of stats you should be having out of yours. Ending width of 1063 by 449. Pretty standard images. Leave it at bicubic. It has smoother colors. So hit OK. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create our dimensions. Since I've already mapped the body, this makes it a little bit easier to explain to you. I'm just switching over the color picker real quick. So first thing we're going to do is create our dimensions so we know what constraints we're working within. So first things first. The first line we're going to do is the dead center line, which means splitting this exactly in half. So in order to do this, we're going to create a line. So let's go over to our little box tool, rectangle, and just go and scroll down over to line. Then up here, width 1 pixel, that's fine. Go in your color picker and just choose black for the time being. So what we're going to do is create a new layer. Just go to Layer, New Layer. And from there, we're going to go over to the dimension of 1.88 or 1.89. That's the best center you'll probably get. So let's just go over to here and drop this down a teensy bit. So here's your 1.9 mark. We're going to go just down a notch or so. And then just click and hold shift and then just drag all the way across. Okay, we now have our center line of our insert. So the next line we're going to do is do the center of these 2 points, which actually ends up being 0.94, 0.95. It's kind of a give or take on that one. So just go over to here, just go a couple notches down. It doesn't have to be precisely exact, but just have some, probably rough dimensions right there. Okay, so there is our halves to be working with. So now what we're going to do is put in a little thread guide, because I had mentioned just slightly earlier that you want to have enough room for the distance between the barrel and the threads, so it's a little bit easier to put in. So we're just going to do, let's just say, ½ centimeter here, over at 8.5 centimeters. Okay, there's our guideline. So now here's our basic looking template at its most finest. You don't really need to be adding anything more. So now what we're going to do is we are going to take a section of this image put it over to here, paste it, flip it, and then manipulate it however we like. So first thing we're going to do, go over to our image. You can just open up a JPEG or whatever image looks cool to you, go over to your Marquee tool, and just find a section that you think just looks really, really cool. For me, I'm just going to go with, let's just say, part of this sky section. Yeah, how about here? It doesn't really matter how big it is, I'll cover that in a second. Dirty. So, let's just say, nah, that's kind of lame. Okay, let's just do something like this just for shits and giggles. Okay, all you have to do is Control-C, copy, and then move over to our new layer. Create a new layer, go to Layer, New Layer, or Control-Shift-N, and paste. Okay, so you see how we kind of have this rough triangle size thing that wow, that was actually a really good cut on my side. So, what we're going to do is we're going to downsize this so it completes exactly half of this second center line. So all we do is just drag up, let's just say do this. We're going to grab our Marquee tool and just follow this as a guideline. So all you do is this, boom, click hold, and let's go, yeah, there we go. Aha. Copy, create a new layer, Control-Shift-N, and then just going to paste that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to paste this again. So paste, yet again, so now we have this exact same image. Yeah, this, as I said, this doesn't have to be exactly spot on with the lines. It's just a nice little guesstimate with a teensy bit of a cushion. Okay, so now what we're going to do with this, so I'm just going to rename this to top image. Going to rename this one to bottom image. Okay, so now we have our two images. What we're going to do is take the one we duplicated, which is the bottom, and we're going to go to Edit, Transform, and Flip Vertical. So it looks like it is now mirroring. So I'm just going to take out these lines. So, yep, they line up perfectly. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, don't even worry about that line now, because these are already lined up for the most part. Nope. Not quite. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to take these, and we're going to right-click and duplicate them. So just hit OK. So now that we have these duplicated, we now have this whole thing that we can just kind of drag down and copy over. Seeing if this is the correct way. Yep. There we go. So now you can see we actually have a full seamless insert with a very minimal amount of work. And now we can add in little things like adding in your cog line, which is usually around, 4.2 centimeters to 4 centimeters is the general standard. You can add in little paintbrush effects, opacities, but let's just go to a slightly more simple edit. So let's just say, okay, we have this, and now we want to put our name on it, or, just name it. So what we're going to do is just create a new layer, and go over to our text tool, and just going to click, and drag, making your own little text box. Let me drop down the font size here, so I'm at like 14. Let's just go with a random font that doesn't look like ass. 12. And let's just do RSVP MX. So up here, all you have to do is you have to be sure to select your text. And up here is your little color box. So you're just going to click that. And change this to whatever base color you would like. For me, I'm just going to stick with white because that seems to pop out pretty well. And now we're like, okay, well, now we have text, but now we want to modify that a little bit. So now what we're going to do is go over to our text tool, and aka blending options. So we go over to Layer, Layer Style, Blending Options. And this is where you're going to be able to do all your different little outline, shading, gradients, all these little effects within your text tool. So now, let's just go over to a drop shadow to make this a little bit deeper. Multiply, I normally just use multiply and normal. Don't worry about what they actually mean for the moment. So if you see here, angle is just at which angle the shadow's coming in. Since it's coming at 120, it just comes at this angle. Distance, it just shows how how far away the shadow is away from the text. The spread is how much it actually spreads out, you know, as a whole. So if I just boost this up, yeah, you can see how that works. Size determines how far out it will actually go. Like, yeah, that looks pretty ugly. So we're just going to choose something a little spiffier. So let's just do that for the moment and drop the distance down to just a few pixels. Again, this is all subjective to whatever it is you want to do. Bevel and emboss, you can add in that stuff. Personally, I actually like adding, you know, gradients over to my text, so you can get cool little effects. I won't get into the actual gradient editing unless you guys really want me to in a future tutorial. So just gonna hit cancel over that, and just gonna leave that white with a little bit of drop shadow. So you now have RSVP MX, and of course you can always add in your name and stuff underneath. So now the other little part is add in a small little made by thing. So all we're going to do is create a new layer, Control-Shift-N. Gonna click let's say a little rectangle box, go over to your line, little shape tool I should say, rectangle tool, and just gonna create a small little box on the bottom. Make sure that's above them so you can see. So it takes out a little bit of the image, but it also kind of gives you a point of where you can start cutting, and where you can also put in your kind of made by. So let's just do, oh, don't even, gah. Come on. So now all you have to do is click inside the box, and we're going to say made by IMAT. Okay. Click, check, and move ever so slightly. Okay. It's not the greatest looking thing in the world, but that is essentially how you can create your own kind of images. If you have any other questions, feel free to just let me know in the thread, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Until later, feel free to subscribe, like, you know, all that jazz. Alright guys, take care.